Hey, Crawlspacers, hope you're having a good Saturday night. And let's introduce the panel. We've got Neil. What's going on, Neil? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, but like for that single minute where there was like nothing going on, you know that John Travolta gif from Pulp Fiction where he's just looking around and going like, I was like, what's going on? Are you just waiting?
You're waiting for the intro to start. That's what you're waiting on. Yeah. And we have Tyler. What's going on, Tyler? How are you, buddy?
I'm here.
In the house.
Yeah.
You are. And we have Kelly. What's going on, Kelly?
Hi, I'm good. I have a Coke Energy Zero Sugar.
Oh, I've not seen those. I've seen Mountain Dew Energies, never a Coke. But
it tastes like Tab.
Oh.
I'm calling it New Tab.
Hey,
Tab 2.
Yeah, Tab 2.
Okay, there you go. And we have Ryan, Dr. Reed, if
That's
you will.
me. Hey, everybody.
What's going on, man?
Not too much. Unlike Kelly, I just got a little purple cup of water here. So a little good old Genoa, radium water. All good to go.
Spider-Man is dirty, so I brought the Hulk.
I have a drink.
Spider-Man we're gonna start off with out of context lines.
Yeah, if you just joined us, Spider-Man is dirty. Hey, by the way, I got a new mug, by the way, for my anniversary. My wife got me this.
I saw
Rock,
that.
paper, scissors, thwip.
Hey,
So I think that's kind of cool. And I don't drink coffee, but I put pins in it. So.
oh, okay. I thought you said pins. I'm like, wait, what?
I do. I've got another pin cup here on my desk.
Is it pins? Is it pins or pens? That's a
Pins.
pen, not a pin.
I mean,
No, pins like Sharpies and stuff.
do you drink tea? You could drink tea out of them. You don't have
I do.
coffee cups.
You could drink Mountain Dew out of it.
That's true. That one's really old. Anyway, that's what we're talking about. And also Javi is going to be joining us. He's just not here yet. The show has started. But we've got some people. Mr. Comics 89, congrats. You wrote that long before I even got into the room. So congrats to you, sir.
15 minutes at least.
We've got SoFlo. What's going on, SoFlo? Heroing in the house and Power Packers there. And Javi, you made it. There you are.
Hey.
He's in the house. What's going on, sir?
Hey, everyone.
What's Spider-Man doing? He's like waving at us.
He's swinging
His
from
web
the
line drooping down.
The Phantom Anchor Point failed him.
So we have two Amazing Spider-Mans and a giant size Amazing Spider-Man on this episode. So Kelly is going to start us off with this issue. Take me through this, Kelly.
All right, I'm going to try and be fast, but
Yes.
that's great because this issue, we'll talk about it. All right, so
ASM 870. Yeah.
Yes. Chameleon Conspiracy Part 3. So Nick Spencer and Ed Brisson are writing it. Zay Carlos Gomez, and Marcelo Fiera were on pencils, and Z Carlos Gomez, and Wayne Foucher were on inks, and then Andrew Crossley and Maury Hollowell were the colorists.
Okay.
Large team on this issue. So we start off kind of where we last left off on issue 68 with Teresa kind of snarling at what the finisher had just told her. Yeah. And she, he understands why she feels like she can't trust anybody.
Look at that snarl.
Okay, I also want to mention, why does Teresa have blue eyes when Peter's have been brown for so long?
Don't ask questions. Just shut up and consume product.
Anyway.
Let's move on.
Shut up and consume.
But that would spoil the next issue.
Anyway. And then we just get a title page, because literally it's just them continuing their conversation, title page, and now we get into the issue. So it really starts where Peter is noting that his friends always seem to get dragged into some villain scheme that Spider-Man has to rescue them from, because he really does think that Jamie is just a hostage here. So he thinks he's going to save his friend, even though it's very clear in the way it's drawn that Jamie has given the clairvoyant device to the jack-o'-lanterns and Foreigner and Chance. And so he tries to defuse the situation, but then Slide comes in, which, all right. Like even they mention in the writing, like where did they find Slide from the Forgotten Foes of Spider-Man? Like
Back issue bin. That's where they found
yeah.
him.
So Slide comes in and grabs Spider-Man and gives a to Chance to hit Spider-Man with his blasters. Y'all are welcome for that. I'm brilliant. And then Jamie catches, I wrote my notes doohickey because I forgot it was the clairvoyant, but catches the clairvoyant and saves Spider-Man, and Spider-Man tries to save him by advising that he'll protect it, but Foreigner uses the blast gun and takes them down.
Yep.
Spider-Man tells Jamie to run, but Jamie doesn't, and Spider-Man is doing his best to keep the villains distracted, long enough for Jamie to run, but then he gets slightly distracted because he doesn't know why Jamie's not running. Well, then Jamie uses the clairvoyant on Peter, and Spider-Man is down for the count.
Yeah. That's a nice onomatopoeia. Shrek.
Yeah.
F in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we go back to the finisher explaining his origin and where he's been to Teresa and the audience in case you need the refresher. Like I
if
did.
you haven't been reading since 1968, yeah.
Yeah. We also find out that the chameleon, Dimitri, sat with him while he healed his wounds because they are like a father-son teacher student kind of situation, which I don't believe we knew that before, right?
That's a new thing. New. By the way, chat really listens. Thank you, Venkman, and thank you.
There we go. Let's go.
There we go.
We also have a B-, but I think that's an early grade.
Wow, we're just like flying through it all right.
Here's the thing: the satellite crew knows how to get things done, and we know how to pull a crowd. Let's go. Satellite.
All right. So we learned this. This is shocking information, but I feel like it's always shocking if you or an older reader.
Yeah.
Because
it's kind of like the reveal, like Mary Jane always knew since Amazing Fantasy 15.
Well, I feel like that was a bigger reveal at the time.
It is.
This is like a baby thing. It's kind of like if it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's cool. That's a cool twist, but I'm not shocked by it.
Right.
So anyway, so there is that, and then Spider-Man wakes up and gets up after that blast as the lizard comes running towards him. He explains that the bad guys got away while Spider-Man was unconscious and asks if there's anything he can help with, though he is limited from his non-aggression chip. Spider-Man says it's okay and that he's going to go to someone who might be able to assist. Ned has been staring out the window for an hour because Peter left strangely, like per usual, and even Betty mentions that, and then turns it into a "but will you also leave Ned" conversation, and before they can really talk about it, Spider-Man shows up asking for help and tells them about the clairvoyant, Jamie, and the foreigner. Ned decides he needs to help and tells Betty the fateful "I'll be back" line, so we know he's not coming back. So then Teresa, then we cut back to Teresa, who is really confused, which fair, because why is the finisher telling her all this? Like, seriously, none of this makes sense.
He's monologuing.
Why are my eyebrows so big? What's going on?
Okay, well, that panel that you just popped up is actually a little bit before what I'm talking about. But
my bad.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So Teresa's confused as why the finisher would be telling her all of this and why he brought her to the apartment. And then we see that panel because the apartment was actually a hologram, not the finisher. And so like dun dun dun, bigger twist than Dimitri being knowing finisher. And we come back because everything constantly there's like 3 different stories going on. So back at the palace, Jamie explains how the clairvoyance works, and one of the jack-o'-lanterns take a call, and then all hell breaks loose. As it turns out, half the people in the casino were working for the finisher, and they're going to take Jamie and the clairvoyant.
Yep.
The finisher advises so then we cut back to the finisher, and the finisher is advising that he took Teresa and Dimitri somewhere of great importance. And as Dimitri advised, he really didn't want to come back here. the double doors open and we see a bunch of chameleons.
They're multiplying.
And the finisher is telling us that we all must face our demons, no matter how great the numbers. And now we get to discuss Teresa's truth, to be continued.
There you go. And we got one more little backup with Doc Ock in the back.
Yeah, which I did. I don't think I got the Doc Ock because I read it digitally, so I didn't get that.
It's just him gathering more of the team. It's Electro's back.
Great.
So
interesting, because I bit the bullet and actually bought it, and that is not in there. But all the rest of the Mr. War stuff.
It comes after the next page. Are you sure it's not in there? Because
Yeah,
should be
right
No,
after the
it's not in the
preview.
digital issue. I swear to
here we go.
I
We're
swear.
looking. Let's look.
Kelly, it's in mine, and it's also in my digital edition.
Well, no,
too.
but that's in print. But I don't have it. I bought it this morning to make sure I was right, and it wasn't there.
Neil, you said you have a digital too?
Yeah, it's in the digital edition. It's right here.
I read the digital too, and it was there.
Yeah,
It's not there.
it's right here.
Well, then something downloaded wrong.
The only way I have it digitally is because I put the code in.
Yeah, no, I bought it on the app and it wasn't there.
Oh,
Like it
that
goes straight to the
sucks.
next. It goes straight to the next issue.
Oh, that's
That's
weird.
weird.
Good work, Marvel.
Hey, I mean,
Yeah, you're just winning one for us. All right there.
Are we really missing much on?
You're not.
that
You missed 2
for
pages.
war?
It's all
Okay.
good.
You missed you missed some nice Bagley art, and Electro came
Yeah.
back.
Electro's back. Move on.
With
There
good
you go.
coloring.
Vinkman says it's the mystery of the missing pages. Yeah.
That's for me. If
Yeah.
I
Right
don't
from the
pick on the
bundler.
bad area,
So, Kelly, what's your grade on it? What do you give it?
I'm stuck between a C+ and a B- because nothing's wrong with it. I think I'm gonna settle on B-. Nothing's wrong with the issue. Like I don't have anything that sticks out that like I'm angry about, but at the same time, for me, nothing was overly shocking. Nothing was very crazy. It was just, it's a very good bridge to get us to the next act, but it's just that's what it is. It's just all about the action and getting us to the next part of the story.
Yeah. Let's go around the horn. Ryan, what do you got? What's your grade?
I gave it a B.
Okay. Javi, what's your grade?
I'm also in the B- camp with Kelly.
Yeah. Tyler, what do you give it?
Yeah, B- for me.
Lizard Man?
I'm going to be the highest of the pack. I give it a B solid, just straight B.
I will give it a B-. The art, if you go by art, it's a C+. Art's all over the place.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
So,
Can I whine about Hollowell for a bit?
oh. Okay. You have
haven't gotten
30
to
seconds
prose
to
yet,
vent
man.
about an anchor. Go. No, I mean a colorist. Sorry.
Colorist.
Colorist.
Yeah. So okay. So you know how on set
Hold on. Hold on. 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
You got it. Go.
okay.
Yeah, if you haven't been watching Satellites to hear Neil complain about colors, this is
Yeah.
It isn't a
Hey, honestly, this is a good like teaser. If you like hearing us on this episode,
Yeah.
sign up for the Patreon so you can hear us every month because this is what we do.
There you go.
So for those of you who don't want to hate yourself, on Satellites I would talk about colors. And
there you go.
my most frequent targets are Brian Raber and Art Armada. And every once in a while, they actually put out a good page. I actually think that that depending on the texture and the lighting that they're in, they produce some really solid product. I have yet to see a page where Hollowell, who was the colorist for Ferreira, and in the next issue he's going to do some Carlos Gomez pages. I never see a page of his that I like. Hey, get that off the screen.
Hey, you resemble that remark.
Power
Yes.
Packer says he just wants satellites for the baking.
I'm true to my word. I am planning on making a yellow cake next Satellites.
Snapface tends to deal with you. I mean, agree with you. There you go.
Yeah,
No,
colors
see,
can make.
see, that's the thing. I don't even disagree with Neil some of the time, but he's just so Neil about it. So,
What is that? What is?
I need to make a shirt that says "So Neil."
What is?
You had your
Hang on,
30
Tyler.
seconds.
Tyler, I want to ask. What does that mean?
You're
Coming from the
just so
symbi-
Neil.
coming-
You
coming
know
from the-
what it
coming
means.
from the symbiote fan.
yeah, look,
Come
I'm
on.
honest about what I am, Neil.
Venkman, thank you for the super chat. Every time he mentions the colors, take a shot. So grab your beverage.
No, I'm actually gonna say I do like the colorist next issue and the person who does the normal.
Hold on.
It's a positive. I'm being nice.
All right, there you go. Hornets,
colors-
that's so Neil. He's so Neil about it.
You know, Neil, once I get Kelly's T-shirt finally made on my Cricut, I'm going to make it what's going to be a cake, and it's going to say "So Neil" on the front of it.
So Neil, yeah.
And it'll be off color just for you.
Hmm. Okay, let's go back to Kelly for the pros. What did you like, Kelly? Or was the book just so Neil?
I mean, it's not so Neil, but I guess my thing is like I don't really have a pro or a con on it because I didn't find the art all over the place. I actually think that it's like fairly solid considering it has 3 different artists penciling and inking. But it like it's just like I said, there wasn't anything that really jumped out at me that I really loved, nor did anything jump out that I hated. That's kind of why I was like, I'm stuck between like a B-, I think like B-, just because it's solid, but it's not.
It got us to the next big issue, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. One of my pros was Leapfrog. I think that's the dad, Leapfrog. Yeah. And you also got the Grizzly. I think that's a big pro. I like the
Ringer's in the background too, actually.
Oh, the Ringer. Wow, yeah. Man. Oh, Vinkman says I said water or non-alcoholic beverage because we need to be responsible. Okay. Don't drink in podcast. Okay. Let's open up to the panel. What's some other pros that you guys liked from this issue?
I liked seeing Slide and the Forgotten Foes of Spider-Man joke.
Yes, I did too.
I thought that was very much in keeping with Spencer's work on the book and all the not even B-list.
Yeah, these are
X, Y, and Z list villains that he's brought back. I thought that was a funny bit.
Yeah, I enjoy that too. Like Foreigner, Slide, Grizzly, Chance, all those Jack-o'-lantern, Ringer. How many years has it been since we've seen those guys? The 80s.
Yeah.
We had the Legion of Losers in the 90s, mid-90s.
We've seen Ringer kind of all over the place. He was in ASM number 2, I believe, in 2018.
Yeah.
Or in the Ultimate costume for some reason, but okay.
Yeah. Gary in the Frozen says there should never be art changing in an ASM book. One artist should be all the way through. Save the dual artists for a lower selling book.
So,
yeah. If you count Mark Bagley in the back, that's 4 artists, isn't it?
I'm gonna push back on that a bit because not only is this book not monthly, which is hard enough on its own, it's bi-weekly, and this time it's weekly because it's been 3 issues plus the Giant Size. So that's 4 issues worth of content in a single month, which is, frankly, I think fairly difficult, if not impossible, for a single artist to do.
Yeah,
I'm going to push back on your pushback because they have this so well thought out that you would think they could dedicate, like this team is doing this story and you don't need to rotate because we're rotating in the next arc.
Okay, but that also back it up. And the thing is that these artists are freelance and we don't know the time frame that they're being given to finish the artwork. And like Neil said, this is 2 to 3 times monthly. We can't necessarily we don't know what projects they have. We have nothing going on. I don't mind having multiple artists on a book because we can't control that. All I ask is for actual consistency within their drawings. Mm-hmm. And I think that at least for this issue, we did get that because we did see that fateful last issue of Amazing Mary Jane. That was all over the place. And that was what?
Yeah.
How many artists? Was that 3 or 4 artists?
It was 3 at least.
3 at least. Yeah, it was. And that was all over the place because that all felt rushed. Versus this didn't at least feel rushed. This felt like they understood, that different artists could only have a certain amount of time constraint, so things were split amongst them.
I will say that this is a pro I have. I'm not a fan of Maury Hollowell, but Andrew Crossley does a really good job of making the other artists, Jose Carlos and Carlos Gomez. He makes them look fairly consistent from page to page. It took like me going back and looking over the line work to see, oh, this is Gomez and this is Carlos. So I will give the book credit on that. That outside of the Teresa and Chameleon sequences, it's not particularly easy at a moment's glance to notice which artist is doing what page.
Which one did Gomez do? What pages?
He did the Betty and Ned sequence, and I think he did a couple of other pages. But yeah. Carlos is the one that did the foreigner chance fight at ESU, and I think he did the one where they're breaking into the palace.
Yeah.
Or where
he definitely did the palace.
And can you tell Ed Bryson's writing this, or does it feel like two guys writing it? I mean, there's a lot of people on two different jobs.
For me personally, it does feel like it's just like one single writer. I don't really notice the two different writers. Because I think one of my biggest pros for this is the dialogue. I think that's always been one of Spencer's strongest points.
Yeah,
and it still flows here. I like Spidey's jokes. I think it's working for me.
Yeah,
that was one of my pros too, because I don't feel like this is a writer and a co-writer. I do feel like it's the same thing, and the dialogue was sharp. I actually really liked the Finisher and Chameleon's dialogue. It was actually very political thriller kind of spy film, which I really think has been a high spot of Spencer's writing in the past.
Yeah, Gary and the Frozen is with Javi. Hornacek wants to know how long until we have artificial intelligences drawing every comic, so we don't have to deal with human artists falling behind schedule. Yeah,
that feels really like, I don't want to say Rod and Barian of a question, but that feels like a question I don't want to answer right now because I'm scared of the consequences.
Yeah. Any other pros that we haven't hit up?
Was anyone else hearing that feedback?
I heard that.
Did. Any other pros for this one? Okay, Kelly, lead off with the cons. What did you not like?
All right, so, and I know that I'm really happy that we are undoing Teresa because I don't like Teresa.
Yes.
But one of the things that really, and it was hard for me to read any of this because I just don't like her. It's not even like I hate her. I just really don't care about her, and every single time she's there, even though we're getting something really cool with the Chameleon and the Finisher with this, and we're like finally making her actually make sense into this world and isn't just like a total Mary Sue fan fiction drop. It just doesn't. I just can't get past those scenes because I just don't care.
It's like on his way out, Spencer said, "You know what? All right, I'm fixing all this slot stuff. Just add Mark Waid's graphic novel with Teresa in it to it. Let's just fix that little plot too."
No, I mean he basically came in and decided he's going to fix everything, and now he's going to leave.
He's the duct tape, and when he leaves, they're going to rip the duct tape off again.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what it feels. Even the final 2 pages with Doc Ock and Electro, because Electro was thrown out and replaced with the Francine Frine, and Mark Waid. Speaking of Mark Waid, had established that Electro can be reconceived as energy unless he's dispersed. He can't be done. And Tom DeFalco even talked about that back in Amazing 425 back in the day.
Right. Before they get too far down in the comments, Gary has one for Tyler. Was Venom Donny Cates' book twice a month? P.S. My real name is also Tyler.
Another Tyler, nice.
And my son's name's Tyler.
But no, Donnie's book was only once a month. Like every now and then he did like a Web of Venom issue, but those are like far and few between.
And I think Stegman wrote the issue, at least one Web of Venom issue.
At least one of them, yeah.
Ninja Space Taco says, "Wasn't Teresa always in Spider-Man? She's new to comics.
She's like she's a 2014 creation, isn't she?
She was introduced in that graphic novel and then Spec with Zdarsky.
Yeah. And see, and this is the thing that I hate because I feel like she's definitely something like a nerd girl like myself, like a younger girl.
Yeah.
Preteen. Like I remember writing fan fiction and inserting like my self-characterization into like a Teen Titans thing or whatever. And that's what Teresa feels like. And I hate throwing on that like Mary Sue and like tearing her down in that way because like that those kinds of characters in fan fiction create creativity. It creates thought process, and like you actually learn how to kind of write and think of the characterization and what you want, like how people will interact and stuff like that. And it helps you grow as a writer. But the issue is like it shows you a very stunted mind of thinking, trying to insert her into these comics, and just the way she was inserted was clunky and it never made sense. And here we go trying to actually like make it make sense. But it at this part to me is too far gone. I just want her to go away, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I have some thoughts on Teresa, but I'll save that for the next issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got B Rich from Kansas City. What's going on, B Rich? How are you, buddy?
Hey-o.
Gabriel says, I think Teresa's a great character waiting to happen. She's not a great character yet, but it would only take one good writer, I think is what you meant. That's true for everything, but for this one, I'm ready for her AI to blow up. Whatever she is. I'm done with her.
I think we need a good long pause with her.
Yes, she needs to just be gone for a while.
Hornacek says, wish Ashley was responding to the undoing of Teresa because she dubbed her TP as in Teresa Parker and toilet paper. I forgot about that, Hornacek. Yes. Appropriately named TP, yes.
So I think part of the problem is that like they haven't really done anything with her. They did like the spy story for Family Business, and then she just vanished for like 3 years, and then she's back in actually I'm fine with Spencer's take on Carly Cooper. I think she's fine. But the most interesting thing they did with Teresa was give her knockoff Falcon wings, and that wasn't even that interesting to begin with. And then they brought in she has a boyfriend now that Chameleon killed, I guess. We have motivation. What's this? What is this? 5 years after her existence. but her only motivation for doing anything came 5 years after her creation. She's just been kind of languishing in the background, waiting for someone to do something with her. And the first thing we're getting is Spencer saying, I got you. Not sure all along. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, again, like I said, I think just the character itself really shouldn't exist at this point. So it's more of, I'm cool with the idea of her, especially if she's not actually his sister. And, she's just like a SHIELD agent or like what we're going to talk about, what she might be in the later issues. It's just, we need a break, and then we need someone, like you said, like a good writer to really give her some depth and some humanity. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Since I really didn't read Family Business until the pandemic, I'm pretty new to her. Does Aunt May know that she exists? I don't.
Yes,
she does. Was
like
that a spec story, or was that something amazing during Spencer's run that I've forgotten?
I think they briefly interacted in Spec 307, and then I know they met each other in ASM 29 under Spencer, so they know each other exist. As far as I know, I don't know if they know they're related.
Yeah.
Related.
Gotcha.
Related.
Yeah. Any other cons on the issue? By the way, Comixology is now down, so
well, there was that idea.
I got a con for you. I don't care about
Comixology's down, so I can't show pictures.
well, I don't care about Jamie. I haven't been a big fan of the clairvoyant subplot, and it's very hard.
Yeah.
Agree.
You'll hear more of my opinion of that next issue.
And part of the problem is like they try to like give him like a sympathetic backstory with like the coming from rags and having a sick mom, but it's like this is too little too late, and it feels kind of cliched and tacked on in order to make him feel somewhat sympathetic in spite of him being an absolute butthead in the last couple of issues. I had a stronger word, but I stopped myself.
Yeah,
good for you.
Yeah, well, and me, I was the same way.
I'm mature.
I'm a real boy.
Nothing says lovey like something from the
oven. On the topic of plot lines that aren't really interesting, I really still don't like that Ned's back. I don't. Really? I don't know. It's just not doing it for me. He should have stayed dead.
Is he though?
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. But it's just I just don't know if this was needed. I just don't know if this whole is Ned back question raised. It just
Yeah, that was one of my cons. Like when Betty asks him, like, "Well, speaking of things, Ned," it's like, "Oh, Betty, now you're going to bring up him appearing and disappearing, and the fact you got a bun in the oven." Yeah, thanks. It's like every time we do Betty, it's like, okay, let's go back to her being. I should talk about that.
Look, Betty, we've got a superior love interest back alive. All right, Flash is back.
I told you not to bang my wife.
Wow. Maybe Neil should write the book.
One like weird con that sprung to mind when Kelly was doing the recap was she was talking about Ned.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, doesn't she mean Genki? And I got totally confused in my brain about like MCU Ned, who's really Genki and has nothing to do with 616 Ned. I mean,
wow. We just spoiled the subplot of Spider-Man.
Right?
Is not Genki going to become the Hobgoblin?
My gosh.
Oh boy.
Garrett, I think Spencer meant to do more with Jamie.
I don't care. I don't like him.
Teresa got red roomed. Who was Toilet Paper's boyfriend? Was Toilet Paper's boyfriend, whom she blamed Chameleon for killing, also a chameleon.
God, this is like this rabbit hole is gonna go on for. Everyone's a chameleon. Fine, let's go. Chameleon war. Let's go.
Vinkman would pay real money for a Spider-Man book written by Neil.
I could do it.
Well, that's one sale.
He can draw.
I'll buy it.
Gabriel says, I don't buy that Peter believed that Ned is really back. He has dealt with this kind of bullshit for a long time now, and it never worked well for him. He is a trusting dude, isn't he?
I censored myself just for you. I'm a big boy.
I totally pulled an Anchorman and was reading the teleprompter. By the time I said the bullshit, there I did again.
Brad, nice thing, Brad.
This is what Satellite's crew does to Brad.
We enable his bad habits.
I still don't believe this is the real Ned. I'm waiting for Betty to get an ultrasound and then detect possible genetic drift, and the baby indicating that Ned is a clone.
I still think it's Flash's.
Hornacek says Brad will swear if he's reading a quote. Yes, I will. You hacked me. These kids have hacked me.
You know what? Just to see how far this goes, I will take some McCarthy quotes and I'll put them in the chat so that you can read them.
Wait, did Brad just swear twice? Why, yes, he did. I apologize.
And the only other con I would have would be the third artist, the ones that's doing the Teresa and Chameleon, Wayne Foucher. Not a fan of that artist.
Ferreira, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was
yeah.
All right. Any other comments on this one before we move on?
This and King's Ransom have been very okay stories. Nothing pushing the envelope, just okay conventional Spider-Man stories.
Yeah.
Good work.
Well, it's a left turn from the Kindred is what we want to talk about or what we want to read about.
Yeah, but Spencer's got to wrap up all his plots. So.
He does. So I can't show Comixology right now.
Here, I'll do it from my iPad.
I've got the book right here.
Look, Brett, describe the cover, Brett.
What? All right, hold on.
Okay, here we go. We got digital and analog. We're ready to go.
Chameleon sitting on a chair with a bunch of heads around him. Boom.
That sounds like some kind of cult. That's the way you describe that.
Javi, I think you've got this one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you've got the variant
with the Aunt
When I
May.
first saw a thumbnail of this, I wasn't sure if it was George Stacy because the chameleon has worn George Stacy's face before.
Wow,
but
that could be. I thought it was Aunt May, but I could totally see
it's Aunt May.
Oh, very
good. The pearls are there.
Yeah, and the
pearls
cooking
are there.
Apron.
Those aren't my wheat cakes. Who are you?
Yeah. So I went Stegman on that one.
Okay.
All right, so a lot of credits here. Writers Nick Spencer and Ed Brisson, pencilers Marcelo Ferreira, Carlos Gomez,
there we go.
Z Carlos and Ig Guara, forgetting Mark Bagley at the end. Inkers Wayne Foucher, Carlos Gomez, Z Carlos, and Ig Guara. Colorists Andrew Costley, Maury Hollowell, and Rochelle Rosenberg. Letterer. We had 2 writers. I don't know how many pencilers, I don't know how many inkers, and how many colorists, but poor Joe Caramagna at VC is the only letterer for this big oversized book. We had a Bagley cover and a Stegman Sinister variant. So Spidey, swinging with Ned to the palace to save Jamie and recover the clairvoyant and the catalyst, recaps Ned's complicated history, which is a podcast in and of itself.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, where's JR when you need him?
I mean, they added the whole, I mean, look at that. That's just.
Yeah, it was a really quick but thorough recap.
Yeah. It was cool though.
Got me in the nostalgia feels there.
Yeah, straight up 80s.
So when they get there, they find the place in shambles with the Camellia lanterns fighting against Chance and Foreigner's goons. Ned breaks off to get revenge on the Foreigner, while Spidey focuses on saving Jamie and his invention. So meanwhile, oh, hey, look, there's Norton G. Fester, who's a part-time nut.
Right there,
right there.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Oh.
Meanwhile, facing the Dimitri Chameleon. So it turns out the Punisher is not only a mentor to the young Dimitri, but to dozens of chameleons, of which they make Teresa believe she is one as well. So back at the palace, Slide has been further recruited to aid Foreigner and Chance. Believing that the chameleons have possession of the clairvoyant and the catalyst, the Finisher orders the Camelio foes of Spider-Man to palace for good. They wreck the engine room in the battery, causing the palace to drop from the sky like one of Brad's bad jokes. Dad jokes. Ruined my delivery.
Man.
Spidey recovers the CNC Future Factory, and Ned stops pummeling the Foreigner long enough so they can attach the catalyst to the engines for power, and Spidey flies the floating casino to safety before it can crash into Manhattan, narrowly avoiding some hydrangeas.
Yeah.
With the danger over, Jamie entrusts the clairvoyant into Spidey's hands, who in turn gives it to Teresa, and Ned returns home to Betty. Or is it Ned? Because we do a close-up, and he's got a very sinister smile. Here. At least that's how I took it.
I'm trying to find the panel you're talking about. The panel where he's hugging Betty?
One before that.
It's 2 panels up.
2 panels. Oh, okay. This one? Is that what we're talking about? That one?
Next one.
One more.
Next
that.
one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
That
look
looks
at
more
that.
evil than I'm happy to be with the woman I love.
So yeah, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, I didn't notice that first read. Good job.
Total normal smile. All right, don't be so judgmental.
That's
Tyler's doing that right now.
That's the time to go back to Gobbo mode smile.
Yeah.
So
funny.
Silver Sable seems to have broken up with the Foreigner, taking all her Treasury's missing money back. Foreigner blames Spidey and Ned and hires Taskmaster and Black Ant to exact payback at whatever the cost.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, boy! Let's go.
They're back.
For you.
Kindred
Here,
Harry
let me
visits
give you a
Dimitri
little.
Chameleon.
Let me give you a little look of Black Ant and Black Ant.
Let's go.
You think Spencer's leaving out those boys? No.
No, they're favorites of his.
Yep.
So Kindred Harry visits Dimitri Chameleon in his cell, asking for another dose of serum as Ock recruits Craven with the promise of going after the lizard next. And I gave this a solid B.
Okay. Is there anything after? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You said Craven. Let me show you a little Craven. He's going Jurassic Park on us right there.
I'm Craven.
There you go.
Great, Cray.
So what'd you give it? You gave it a B?
Yeah. That last page with the lizard I thought was really good.
Here, let me get to it. Yeah. There you go. That's what you're talking about.
Yep.
Okay, so B out of Javi. Ryan, what do you give it?
C+.
C+. Kelly?
B-.
B-. Tyler?
I'll go to B. I liked it a little more than last issue.
Lizard Man?
I was gonna give it a B+, but after seeing the coloring, I'm going down.
That's so Neil.
I told you. That's so Neil.
Okay, I am consistent at least. You cannot fault me on consistency.
Okay, go ahead.
No. Okay, so it's the same complaints I had about the last issue. The only difference is that for whatever reason they slapped Hollowell's colors on some of Carlos Gomez's pages. And I usually love Gomez's pages, but the coloring really brought down the quality of those pages. I would have honestly preferred to see them in black and white. I'm going to be a meanie
There's your
Bobini.
30 seconds of coloring complaints.
Okay.
I just want to know how Neil knows who did the coloring on each page.
I know.
Because it's not credited.
It's process of elimination. Hang on.
He has a
I haven't studied colors enough to be able to pick out coloring styles.
Yeah.
There are some, like, if you read a book with like one creative team, like Rochelle Rosenberg was on All Superior Foes, you can kind of deduce whose color. You can deduce the coloring from there, and then pull it over to a different book and or tell which ones go there. I'm gonna shut up.
Chat is blowing up. I need to put some up on the screen. Vinkman wants to know, does Brad need ointment for Javi's burn? B. Rich says Brad has no bad jokes. My Missouri brother. All right, thank you very much.
That's
to
the
right.
Bad jokes.
To the right. Now slide. I like that, Anthony. That's very good. B+ out of SoFlo.
I think Brad's dead. Okay, I'm running the show now, boys. Time to talk about Transformers.
Well, Power Parker thinks Ned is Kindred.
Yeah.
I think he's an insert. Do I want to talk about it now or do I want to talk about it later?
Well, is it a pro or a con?
Yeah,
we do pros first. That's
pros.
I think I'll save it until ASM 70. That's what it ties in better there.
Okay.
Well, one of my pros is there's a lot of threads that are converging here, even more so we see in the next issue. Whoa, we lost Brad totally.
We've lost.
Okay.
All
right.
The satellites have taken over.
Okay. Transformers time. Let's go, baby.
Okay. Yeah. So as you were saying,
I like that there's a lot of threads that are.
There he is.
We weren't doing a coup.
No, never.
No.
Wow.
No.
All right. Somebody just kicked me on my ass.
This really is a satellites episode. You just
was that in the teleprompter, Brad?
Hey, we've gained viewers since I left.
Power Packers just DM'd me on Discord and said my comment froze Brad. What have I done?
Oh, Vinkman's upset. I was going. Thank you, Vinkman. You sound like Vinkman's the only one. What did I miss?
No.
You missed nothing. It was like a minute and a half of us trying to figure out what we want to do.
Yeah.
Without you,
we were trying to be you. And we said, okay, Javi, give us pros first.
Oh wow, that's funny. All right. Anyway, where were we?
So I was starting off with my first pro that I like that there's a lot of threads that are converging here. Maybe some of the storylines I wasn't as keen on. Like it feels like we're getting to the end of something, even more so by next issue.
Yeah.
And one of the things that kind of broke me with my love of Spider-Man was One More Day. Like I'm sure I've mentioned it before. It's where I felt like editorial. It took me out. It broke that wall of. It shattered the illusion, right? So one of the things that I like about Spencer's stuff is like I feel like we're back to everything being part of one giant, almost 60-year story.
Yeah.
The fact that we saw Slide. We've got the Chameleon again, even stuff that I don't care for necessarily, or I'm not as attached to, like Teresa or Carly Cooper. Like Spencer's making everything gel and feel like one big narrative. So I really appreciate that feeling that I'm getting, that everything I've read all my life, stuff that I read as a kid in the 80s and 90s is mattering. Because it felt like for a while that it wasn't. They specifically said it wasn't. So
that is a pro. I agree with you. If he's going back to the 1968 Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 5, and he's also going to the 80s and 90s with the D and the Z list villains, this dude loves Spider-Man, and we love Spider-Man. So it's a pleasure as a long-term fan to read some deep cuts. So for that is very much a pro. I very much agree with you on that. That's
even seeing someone like the Looter, like he's not a great villain by any stretch of the imagination, but I love that old Marvel Tales as a kid. I got a kick seeing him again in the 90s with like Todd DeZago and Mike Wieringo.
Yeah.
And so it made me happy, even though he wound up being a chameleon. I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And speaking of the chameleon, like, he hasn't been a great villain. I mean, he's Spidey's first villain, but then he was gone until like that story I mentioned where he was George Stacy at an art exhibit. And then DeMatteis tried to do some stuff with him in the 90s that added some layers to it. But then, a few years later, we got, Mary Jane and Aunt May taking him out. He kind of became just like a lame joke.
And Mary Jane took him out with a lamp too, didn't
he? With a lamp,
yeah.
So at least with the last two issues, like, I feel like this is the most menacing he's been in since I don't know when, maybe ever.
Do you guys remember? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Javi.
I like the fact that we're getting to an end game here with Spencer, and he's gone all the way back to Amazing Spider-Man 1 and tied in one of his first villains to it. And if you think about like Life Theft and Pursuit, how he was involved with Peter's parents, like, it adds to that sense of continuity and that things matter. And the fact that he's working with Harry again, or a version of Harry again, like, it calls back to those stories, and it just makes everything feel more cohesive, and it makes the chameleon more of a menace than he's ever been, to think that he's been pulling all these strings on Spider-Man for so long.
The Marvel and DC are always after the new reader, but is there ever any talk of keeping the old reader? No. This keeps the old
reader.
This keeps us who've been reading it for decades. Some of us.
Let's be honest, we're the ones that matter. And I'm not saying that new readers don't matter.
Yeah.
And I welcome any new readers to keep this thing going, but
new people can afford comics.
I mean, the sad fact of the matter is like, Avengers Endgame is, one of the highest grossing movies of all time. Yeah. But everyone who bought a ticket to that is not picking up the Avengers from their local comic shop.
True.
Or buying it digitally. Like, the numbers are proving that. And after 10 years of Marvel Studios, like, we're not back in like the 90s heyday of like sales. If anything, they've gotten more niche, but the properties are flourishing elsewhere.
Yeah. I like what Ninja says. Spencer loves family. Vin Diesel.
I've been seeing that joke everywhere.
That's cute.
Dom, no, you can't take on the Foreigner. That's suicide. Foreigner may be tough, but he's not as tough as family.
Evidently,
sorry.
Neil was thinking about doing a Transformers podcast when my internet died.
No, he just said the word Transformers.
Yeah, he just said the word. Yeah.
That's happens like what, every
show I'm on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Gabriel says the 90s animated series was the only time he really felt like a menace, and Gary says Javi is the wise. I would agree.
Well, I mean, I at least want to touch on the comics part of it, because the thing is actually more people are reading, like, comics have had a boom recently, especially during the pandemic, but it was all more indie brands and it was all more original content and not necessarily superhero IPs.
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting take on that. And that's kind of the thing that, like, both DC and Marvel aren't quite understanding, is that there's a way to market this to people, but they're still using really outdated tactics.
Yes.
Well, yes. And I think it also speaks to the fact that Marvel and DC have become so reliant on cape books to fuel their readership that, like, they can't.
What books?
Cape books.
Cape.
Oh, cape. I swear you said cake.
That's again, Brad.
That's my job.
Well, I know you cook. I thought we were baking again. I
know, but they rely on superhero books so often that they don't have any other genres to appeal to other readers. When smaller publishers like Image and Boom have multiple different genres that attract different audiences. So with like Marvel, you get like one guy buying ASM Hulk or Iron Man. That's not, but it's all the same audience. And then you've got like completely different audiences reading different books from other publishers. That's not. I feel like I'm not sure if that's sarcastic enough or sincere, but I feel like that's not really my argument.
Yeah, well, and that's not my argument. I'm not saying that like the indie stuff is stealing readers. I'm just saying in general that, like, because the way Javi made it sound, and that's what I was just trying to clear up, is it's not that people have stopped reading comics. people have changed how they're reading the comic, and they've changed what they're what the general public is reading.
I saw I'm not sure if you saw the same article. It sounds like you did, where digital sales and trade paperback sales are up dramatically.
Yeah.
And comics are just doing okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So people like to binge them like they do Netflix shows in a trade, or they like to binge them on digitally, which is what the consumers now do a lot. Well, they don't wait 30 days.
Well, and going back to the the movie is doing good, so why aren't the comics?
Yeah.
The MCU has become so big and self-sufficient that people don't really need to go read the comics anymore. They can just watch the movies and get their own self-contained universe. They don't. The little Easter eggs are just kind of there for the fans who know the source material.
Right, like on the current Loki series, how much stuff they dropped in on that.
Yeah, they dropped the Thanos copter in there. No one's gonna only the fans who see memes and are big and really deep cut comic fans will know what the Thanos copter is.
Well, but see, here's the thing too. I think behind those ideas, especially in the TV series, they're wanting them to say, "Oh, look at this," and then if you haven't noticed, they've put out specially curated stuff in Marvel Unlimited for them to read, or Comixology for them to buy, and they're wanting them to find it. But what I've noticed, especially with the younger kids on Twitter, is they'll either pull something, pull another tweet and go, "Yeah, I know that too," even though they really didn't. Or they're only learning stuff based on the 10-minute article that they can read, or the 5-minute video that they can digest,
or the Wikipedia, the Wikipedia article they managed to find.
But they are trying, their best to get them to come into it and to read it. But it's at this point, the IP, the only reason the comics are still here are for IP
and idea makers. Yeah. Get the next movie coming. I mean, they're catching up. Winter Soldier wasn't that long ago.
No, neither was Felcap.
Exactly. That was. I mean, what's the quickest turnaround?
Neither was Kid Loki and all that either.
Kid Loki, President Loki was in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Ironheart's not even 5 years old.
Ironheart, series. Ms. Marvel's a recent. Ms. Marvel's new, yeah. Let's see. Any other comments on that issue before we move on?
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say the retcon of Family Business, allegedly. Yeah. It's a little unclear, and this is kind of getting into my cons a little bit, but it would have seemed that Teresa has been a chameleon the whole time. But there's a part of me that, based on the nature of the story, it makes me question which truths that are revealed are really truths. I won't feel everything settled until we get to the end of Sinister War and Spider-Man Beyond starts.
Right.
So I kind of feel like we need to wait and see if this Ned is really the real Ned, or if he's a clone conspiracy version or something else that Harry did. And the same thing with Teresa. This could all just be a big mind game.
Well, see, one thing I want to say I want to touch on the Teresa bit, because that's something I really actually liked about this issue. I'm going to be one of the minority here who actually kind of likes Teresa. I've liked her ever since the Mark Waid Family Business, and I like that story left it vague. Is she a sister or not? And it left it vague. Except at the same time, it would have been weird if she was his sister, because the whole thing is that she was they made her think that she was his sister, then it turns out she's not. And so then it was kind of weird that Zdarsky brought her back. Well, all right, the person they chose to pretend to be Peter's sister is actually her real secret sister. And so it was kind of a super weird coincidence. And then this is bringing more vagueness into it, where I kind of like it, where I don't think they're going to give a final answer. I think they're going to leave it vague while leaning in the direction that she's not, leading that direction, but it can be vague. And so I think it's the best solution. It's the fans can, it up to us whether we want her to be the real sister or not. I like how it's handled a lot, and I think we can move on from here. I don't think we have to stew on the question anymore.
Yeah,
Gary in the Frozen said, "Did I give a grade?" I did not give a grade because my internet died. I would give it a C+. Tyler, was it you I DM'd or asking what just happened? I think it was you. Because I didn't know if Teresa was a clone. Is she a robot like the parents? I was confused by this issue a lot.
Okay, so I guess the tight version is basically like Dimitri has an entire like legion of chameleons, and it's implied that Teresa was conditioned as a chameleon to be Peter Parker's sister, and eventually she just believed that she was.
So chameleon mind wipes them, grabs them from society, mind wipes them, and then are sleeper agents. Is that what the story is?
That's basically
that's what the whole chameleon conspiracy is. These are sleeper agents that are put in. And something that really threw, this is why I downgraded it too, and this was also my review too, but way back when Hunted ended, we had the chameleon there at Craven's re-funeral, and he was saying the whole world is going to be sorry for what I'm going to bring to them. And basically since 2099, which was a pretty whatever storyline, it's like, so this is it. Basically, the Finisher has all these sleeper agents from Industrial to politicians to Peter's supposedly sister. And it's like, well, what's the plan? And then why did he want the clairvoyant to show him the futures and stuff? What? So they can see, oh, look, I'll take over the world? Or is the Finisher just saying, look, I can make more chameleons? That's what really brought it down when it was all said and done. It's like, okay, we have sleeper agents. Yes, Nick Spencer is bartering a Cold War thing that happened between Russia, the U.S., and even Australia, where they had sleeper agents in each country and believed who they were, even though they were from those countries. But then when it was all said and done, it's like, well, what was the point of all this? And then is the quote Mike McNutley on this one: "What does a demon need with a serum?"
Okay, so I'm gonna hold that question, and I'm gonna put a pin in it real quick, and I'm gonna get back to you on ASM 70 on that last one.
I was just confused. I think it was wrapping up too quickly. I think this meant to be padded to 100.
I think that this is kind of a side effect of Spencer leaving. Not that he didn't have this stuff planned out, but I'm wondering if he had more planned for like okay, we've got the Chameleon Conspiracy on the table, so what are you gonna do with it? We didn't really get that. So I'm wondering if this is something the new creative team is going to pick up with ASM with the Spider-Man Beyond stuff. But
another con. What is this? $6, and it's not in the main book. It's not in the main book. It's a side book. Do you need to read this? You do to understand what you bought.
Well, yeah, because issue 69 ends on a cliffhanger and it sets up plot points for next issue. So you kind of have to read
King's Ransom. Yeah, you had to read King's Ransom to see what it was.
Well, I understand why they want the $6 instead of the $4 every month, but I don't. It's just annoying. That's another thing. Like Javi and I were talking about earlier. This is not a long-term fan. They're not catering to the long-term fan by doing this, putting it in a side book for $6.
But I mean, looking, across the aisle there, I got a lot more enjoyment out of this $6, like basically an annual sized issue of Amazing Spider-Man than I did the actual Amazing Spider-Man #2.
You know what? I guess my argument is it could have been $2 for $8.
I spent the money on that.
Yeah.
Or
plus I'll book. Yeah.
This is actually more expensive than the annual.
Yeah,
figure that one out. I'll just also say that I think one of Spencer's weak points has been the fact that he draws things out, and so if we had to wait another an extra month to get this story over with, I don't think I'd be very happy about that.
Yeah, but aren't you ticked? It's not in the main Amazing book.
I mean, it feels like it is there. They've done that where they've made like an amazing. What issue was it, Neil? It was something in the 50s where it was oversized and had more pages.
The .L was not the .LR, not the .LR issues. I know what you're thinking of.
There was something that cost more and had extra pages.
It was ASM 55.
Yeah.
Actually, well, no, ASM 55.
Or was it 56?
It was 55. So 55 cost the same amount for more pages. But I think it was like black and white, like it was like black pages, so it meant nothing. But ASM 56 was a $4.99 issue, and it had more pages. And I think ASM 63 also had more pages for $4.99.
And this is Marvel doesn't care the point I'm about to make, but when you file this in your long boxes, I'm putting it right behind the previous issue. I'm doing
That's what
this.
I do.
I'm doing this to this because otherwise it'll just be in a random box.
I'm wondering if this is a logistical issue because the King's Ransom on comics. I'm assuming you're going off of like Comixology listings for this because King's Ransom is in ASM, the main series.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if this was either some kind of.
They're doing it with Sinister War too. It's the exact same theory with Sinister War is a side amazing book.
I think it's just them trying to see if they can do it as a separate.
Like they want event money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's event
money. Yeah, I totally
grab.
said that. Here, real quick before we move on to Tyler's last book that we're going to do. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks. I've been trying to say something for. I will side with Tyler on the Teresa stuff. I did like the choose your family bit. Like even if she is a chameleon, Peter still loves her and she still loves him. And I thought that was for a character who has very little character or personality. I thought that was a pretty neat, a pretty nice if unearned moment because she hasn't really given him that kind of treatment before. I'm like, okay, so we're doing it now, I guess at the last minute, but you know, it was a nice wholesome-ish moment.
I would actually side with Kelly, and I hope she never comes back.
It's not that I never want her to come back. I just don't necessarily want her to be related. Like, and that they can still have that kind of chosen family feel. I just want it to be established that, like, you know, she isn't genetically related, regardless if she's a clone or whatever, like AI, whatever. It's just we need a break. We need somebody that wants to put her in a story that makes that character shine and really develop her as a empathetic empathetic character, and then we can still have that chosen family feel. That's fine. Like I'm cool with that. I just the trying to push her into she's the sister. No, not really. But also, yes, really,
right.
At that, you wind up burned out and you really don't want to deal with it anymore.
I say we flush TP. It's Michael Reed says she's a sister from another mister.
I should point out, I am personally ambivalent to Teresa Parker. Like, I don't care if she goes away for the next 5 years and then comes back. Oh, by the way, I am your sister. Gotcha.
Yeah.
But I can.
Let me get through some comments before we get to Tyler. Andre says, "Has anybody read Spencer's Existence 2.0? I have never even heard of it."
No.
Does he finish it?
Anthony says, "I think if Teresa finds out she's fake or not, if Spider-Man found out she was fake, that reveal is too big right now, with everything else going on." Let's see. Gary and the Frozen. It's just like they did the story to show Teresa is a chameleon. Funny how Chameleon Finisher just stayed in the prison. How long lost family members long lost family members ever worked? I mean, DC has been trying to give Batman a brother forever.
What was that? What was that last one? Can you go back to that last comment,
Gary?
Yeah. So my assumption was that that's why I kind of asked whether or not the new creative team is going to follow up on this in Spider-Man Beyond, because I assumed that Chameleon's like, oh, my job is done. I got my chameleons are all over where they need to be, so I'm going to press this button when the time is right, and we're going to unleash hell on the world.
Hornacek says, I've been waiting for this story to bring the whole chameleon being Nora's benefactor for threats and menaces.
That's a good point.
That was never even touched upon. I was waiting for that too. True. I was wondering maybe Nora's a chameleon sleeper agent. We didn't know it.
Gabriel says the conspiracy didn't seem like a big deal. He also says why he helped Nora. We'll never get an answer to that one.
I feel like it would be smart for that team of writers to come in and at least use some of this later. Mm-hmm. It's just the thing is right now this isn't the main story that needs to be completed before Spencer leaves.
Yeah, Kindred's the priority right now.
Yeah, Kindred is number one.
But if the Beyond Corporation knows what's going on with the Finisher and the Chameleon, wouldn't you think maybe that might be the underlying current?
I am trying to figure out what would spur the Beyond Corporation to do that, because they've been shown so far in Next Wave and Mighty Avengers they just screw with the universe for the fun of it. So I'm wondering,
just to see what happens. It's like, as they say, it's like throwing a grenade and then seeing what happens.
Yeah. Vinkman's with Kelly. I don't want toilet paper and I don't want TP isn't related. I don't give a damn about her, and I wouldn't shed any tears.
You're not even reading off the script at this point. You're just saying swear words.
Shit. Okay, Andre. He's done a lot for Image. That's Spencer's Unleashed, Andre says.
No, here's the thing. Spencer never finished either of his creator owns at Image. He did 12. He did 12 issues of the Fix, and then just got a cliffhanger, and then never got finished.
All right. In order to hit the next show, let me get Tyler's review going.
We gotta get going. We're not gonna make it. Let's go.
This ain't satellites where you can just go on forever. So.
I know. All right, Tyler, you take me through ASM 871/70.
All right. So ASM 70, it's written by Nick Spencer with art by Federico Vincinetti. I say that wrong every time. I'm sorry.
Vicentini.
But how's the inker?
Vicentini.
Okay.
Hey,
so
Vicentini. Hey.
We open up, and Peter has finally gotten time to go back to class. He's feeling good for once, and turns out the door is broken in, and Kurt Connors is on the ground wounded, and so that's not great. And we learned that the night before, Kurt was getting his life together, as a lizard with his family and all that. And suddenly the not Sinister Six broke in. I guess the Fearsome Four. Is that name taken?
The lizard. The lizard.
Yes.
Four. It's me, Lizard Man. I'm in this book.
Check out the new Doc Ock outfit.
Yeah, Doc Ock's.
He's sporting a little '90s feel there.
It is a little, but
I can't tell if he's fat or not.
He's a little tubby, sort of. But
he went back for thirds.
So anyway, they're like,
am I two characters in this book?
Wow. So anyway, I guess Doc Ock apparently knew that Zeb Wells is going to be taken over. He's like, sorry, we need to get the shed lizard out of you, Kurt. And so they use the isotope machine on him, and they separate the lizard from Connors. So,
did they not read any issues of Hulk when they separated Hulk and Banner? I mean, come on. Anyway.
So Peter takes a hurt Kurt back to his
a hurt Kurt. I like that.
He takes him back to Billy and Martha and his lizard family, except he's not so lizard anymore. That's going to be a little awkward, but
sorry, son.
Anyway, well, Peter's obviously concerned about what Doc Ock and the rest of the villains are up to. He's like, if the Sinister Six are really up to no good again, I better go be on the lookout. And instead of Lookout, we switch to Look Ups, and we have Mary Jane.
Look at you, segue! I'm loving that.
So she's
segue.
Damn, you're on your game tonight.
He is.
That's what I'm here for. This is the main show. So anyway, we got Mary Jane is sort of doing some investigating into Carly Cooper because Carly is gone, and especially with the warning that Overdrive gave her. And so Mary Jane's been looking everywhere. She's checking with Jarvis, checking with her landlord, her coworkers, but she can't find her anywhere. And she's starting to worry. Mm-hmm. And speaking of Carly, we switch over to Carly and Harry, of all people, who are stuck in the jail cell. This is the first time we've seen that Harry, who was in the cell with Carly since the end of that one issue. And so he starts explaining why he's here. He's like, I've been here a long time. You're not getting out. And so he was with his family, Normie and Stanley and Liz, but then suddenly he started getting some strange transactions on some old Oscorp accounts, and so he headed over to Europe on where he used to hang out in his brand new day missing years, I guess you want to call them, the untold tale of Harry Osborn, and yeah, so he went over to investigate, and suddenly Kindred knocked him out with a centipede to the head. So
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, and yeah, he just threw him in a cell, and so he's like, yeah, that's my story. And Carly wants to tell him her story, but the fact is that we find out who the extra body was, and it was in fact Harry's body. And so she
look at that hair.
Hair shall survive in the Marvel universe.
Such infamous hair, it stays beyond the grave. So
all this hair, like apparently what we've learned is 616. Your hair never falls off your scalp, and it is like permanently embedded into your like skull.
Why can't I live in the 616?
also real quick,
Brad will die and have hair again.
Also, his clothes are still on, even though they should have decomposed years ago.
Well, maybe Kindred dressed him up for the party.
Oh, they're all wigs. They're all very.
There it is.
I was gonna say, naked skeletons at a party don't go well. He wants them to be decent.
Yeah,
Wait, whoa. How do you know naked skeletons of the party don't go well? Is this your experience talking? What was that? Is a hell of a quote.
He clearly listens to Oingo Boingo.
That's where it's from.
Look, Kindred wanted the hairy skeleton looking good. All right,
love it.
So
he glued the hair back on.
He's got a pulled a Shatner.
Cornrows. It's ramen noodle hair.
Oh, Hornacek has Googled. According to Google, hair remains on a skeleton for years, but that shot of Harry's familiar hair still made me laugh. Yeah,
I can imagine like after Gleason set that up in ASM 50, like he passed notes on to Vicentini in the office, like, hey man, here you gotta add the hair on every time you see a corpse. That's the rule now.
We also have what's this comment here? Let me just put the hair up there. Kendrick got all the wigs from the chameleon. That's why we have Osborne hair. There we go.
That's why I needed the chameleon.
That's why I need the serum. That makes it awesome.
Yeah. All right, keep going, Tyler.
All right, so we switch over to the bar with no name for a second. You know, we see some familiar foes, and apparently Overdrive is offering Boomerang a job, and so you know we'll pick up on that later. But so Spider-Man found nothing, but apparently the Sinister Six are still up to something, and Otto comes to Kindred, and he's like, I'm tired of your games. I've done as you asked. I've got your little Sinister Six gang. He's like, no, we're not the superior foes. We need 6 members. And so I got your last guy, though, and it's we see a big panel of Mysterio. So
there
I guess so Kindred has got his Sinister Six
loading up on Windows Vista.
Do it's Mysterio.
Yeah, and then so
he's
basically
running down that hill like in Windows XP. That green hill.
It's loading up at the same speed, so might as well.
Yeah, so Kindred starts monologuing about how all the pieces are falling into place, all the teams are lined up for Sinister War. And then we get a big splash page of all the teams. So we have Otto Sinister Six, with obviously some, not the original team, but some change members. Then we have foreigners. I don't know what you want to call them. The Mercs for hire, I guess. You got
the Mercs for money.
No, who said it? Casino Royale. It was Chi-Town in his review said that's Casino Royale.
Yeah, they are Casino Royale.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good one. And then we have the superior foes again. That's who needs 6 members when you got 5. Then you have the Savage Six with the Vulture's team, and then the Syndicate with the Beatles team. And so we got everyone here is for Sinister War.
Prepare
that's a
for
lot.
War.
It's a lot of
Power Pecker says the true villain is my Wi-Fi. Usually Kelly has the problem. Tonight it was me. There you go.
Well, it's because I left. I'm not at the apartment.
There you go.
There's what happened.
She's cheating with the contract stipulated someone had to have bad Wi-Fi, so we all kind of selected you off to the side.
Kelly, did you hurt your knee? Is that a Band-Aid? What is that?
Oh, yeah, no, that's a Band-Aid on my knee.
Yeah, I was wondering.
I ate concrete.
Or
fought a villain. I don't know. Y'all choose yours.
You fought a villain on concrete.
You fought a villain.
Yeah, I like fate. Like when I say I ate concrete, my nose is still nothing broke, thankfully, but like my nose I think is still swollen. I'm noticing that in the camera. I had a busted lip that like just now is not swollen. And
did you trip? What happened? You okay? I mean, you're obviously not okay.
Clearly, I like I said, I ate concrete or I fought a villain. I don't know. Like y'all choose that. But well, I tripped, but it just
it sounds better if you fought a villain. I like that.
I fought a villain. I was when we were doing when we were supposed to record Make My Mayday, I was gonna say that I had gotten into a fight with Seth, the serpent god of death. But I guess I'll probably be healed by next week.
Okay. But you get a power up, you know?
Yeah. Y'all pick the villain. That's
well,
what I thought.
We've got a dozen of them right here. Who do you like?
I mean,
who fought Kelly? I go Stegron.
Here's a challenge.
Avoid his tail.
Here's a challenge. One team is supposed to protect you, the others have to kill you. Who do you pick?
So, Tyler, what is your grade on this issue?
I'll give us an A. I really like this issue. I especially after all the chameleon stuff, which I wasn't as invested in. I think this was a strong return to form for Spencer, and it makes me excited for this is the prelude to Sinister War, and this does make me excited for Sinister War.
Agreed. It did do that. I agree. What did you give B or an A? What'd you say?
A for me.
Neil, what do you give it?
I'm giving it an A. I'm skirting close to an A+, but there's kind of a few. But there's a few things that kind of keep it from committing completely to an A+.
Is it the colorist?
No, I actually like it. I like
Man, Tyler is busting my chops, man.
I am this close to tossing my headset over there and just leaving.
I can't wait for the next show in a little while.
Oh my gosh. Javi, what's your grade?
I'm feeling B+, maybe A-.
Yeah.
I think Vicentini's art's probably the best he's put out, and it was awesome seeing MJ, but it's definitely, I feel like Tyler said, everything has been building and increasing in quality. Yeah. So we'll go A-.
Ryan, what do you give it?
I'm with Hobby, A- for me. I was a couple things that got me. If we talk about in the cons with Carly, but otherwise, I thought this was really building up, and I said by the time we got to all the villain teams, I was like, ooh, I'm ready for Sinister War. Bring on Sinister War.
Yeah. Kelly, what's your grade?
Solid A. Just because it's yay, we're finally at the story I wanted. We got a little bit more of the story I want. Yeah.
Yes, that's true. I will give it a B+. It's better than the last issue for me. It's this last page that really got me excited. I mean, I can't remember that explains why Peter Parker is in a hospital bed. If he goes up against all those guys, he's not coming out unscathed.
Can I just say
he's going to need more than Kelly's Band-Aid.
The fact that I just have one Band-Aid on today is a miracle after last what I dealt with. So I'm shocked.
He's going to be digesting concrete after this.
Can I
real quick, Vinkman, thank you for the super chat. We all know Kelly is the living embodiment of Mayday Parker. While web slinging a Spider-Girl, she got hurt fighting a new villain called Concrete Man. With a hyphen, by the way, Vinkman. Concrete Man.
There is a villain called Kid Corey whose body is made out of concrete.
Oh. You should have new name, Concrete Man.
You should have called it Pavement.
Do you know? Okay, you guys love my bad jokes. Do you know where Kelly fought Concrete Man?
No.
I'm not giving you this.
Do you guys have Andy's frozen custards? Those are called concretes.
No.
I almost said Dairy Queen, but that would be a Blizzard Man.
Okay, so that's here in Atlanta. We have a Tasty.
She fought it at a Tasty.
Yeah, there you go. But I mean, I was at the apartment.
Should have said Shake Shack. That we would have all gotten that one.
Yeah.
We hush up, Blizzard Man. You go color something. All right. Let me see here. Let me get some comments before we go to the pros and cons. We got about 12 minutes before the next show. Hornacek in reference to Kelly falling. Well, these things happen.
That's Gary, the Chameleon Conspiracy in a nutshell.
Gary, I'm afraid Spencer won't be able to juggle all these villains for Sinister War and blend all the last Kindred stuff in. What do you guys think?
It's 7 issues. It's 7 issues, and some of them are buffed up.
Yeah.
Sinister War and Amazing.
There's already set up for a live of them too.
Yeah.
And between
when the two series, I think you can do it.
When Slott was on the book, I used to worry about this many characters in a book.
Spencer makes me excited for this kind of volume of characters.
I think Spencer could handle this many going up against Spider-Man. I think so.
There was a lot of villains in Hunted. I mean, granted, most of them were mostly background, but I thought that was handled fairly well.
Well, and also some of these characters are fairly, most of their plot points have been wrapped up. Like Foreigner's out for revenge, and the Syndicate's off looking to make a name for themselves, but their personal and detailed character arcs are pretty much wrapped up. This is them mostly just being cannon fodder, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
B. Rich says Kelly won in the fight.
Brad, can you pull up that
tell
two-page
that
spread
my
again?
concussion.
Yeah, there you go.
So out of all these people, who are we missing from Spencer's run that's not in this image?
Dormammu.
The only one I can think of is Dr. Doom.
Mephisto.
Kingpin.
Oh, okay.
Kingpin.
Yeah.
The Rose.
The Rose is a big one. Yeah.
Oh, the Rose, Kingpin, and Mephisto, not in the image.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't expect Mephisto to be in there.
I mean, Mephisto was in like one panel.
I know, but how long has it been since that one panel with him and Doc Strange?
We're still a little blue ball.
Not even 3 months. I don't know. It's been like 4 months, I think.
Yeah. It's been 4. It's been 4 since that final panel. I even said that in my review. Like, what happened to that panel?
Well, he died and didn't get better this time.
Well, if you think about it, what's the kid with the future gadget? What's his name?
The clairvoyant Jamie.
He came out like in issue 7 or something. We're on issue 70 now, right?
He came out in issue 32.
Well, still,
that was later on after I got the
graduate. I mean, I think we'll definitely see him, and like honestly, that also could be something to do with the Beyond Corporation. We have no clue what's coming up next.
Right.
I think going back to like my earlier point with everything building, like we got to that image in this issue, and that just felt like everything we've been reading about, whether you liked some of the stories more than others or not, like it all had a purpose to get us to this moment. Like it makes all the prior things feel like maybe not so much of a I don't want to say a waste, but it just gives more importance to other story arcs.
It makes them definitively matter. Even like the filler stuff now means something.
Javi Hornacek has a good point. Where is Gog?
I was just going to say that.
Where is Gog?
He's playing with the Tri-Sentinel.
I got you.
Yeah, probably, or the Robot Master. Yeah.
Leave it to my Missouri brother to understand my Andes joke about concretes. There you go. Thank you. Power Packers has a Culver's in Wisconsin, and they call them concrete. So I'm going to Missouri and Wisconsin. You got my joke. Very good. Going by the preview, Mephisto will be in Sinister War #1.
That's right.
Comet says that Mark Bagley Sinister War variant cover had Hobgoblin and the Enforcers on it. Are we putting even more villains in this thing?
I think that it's just an homage cover, isn't it?
Yeah, because even the Chameleon's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something I kind of wanted to point out is that I'm glad that I thought Sinister War was just going to be between the two Sinister teams, the Savage Six and the Sinister Six, but I'm glad that this is becoming like a more chaotic five-way. This is a more five-way brawl kind of thing where one's.
I love that Spencer's throwing a bunch of his favorites in here. You got Black Ant, Taskmaster, the Superior Foes. Those are characters I love that he's written, and so I'm down for it.
And I actually like the Casino Royale roster too. I mean the Jack-o'-lantern, Chance, and Slide, and it's a really cool. And that also brings in the storylines.
Who's everyone's favorite team?
For classic's sake, I would say Ox one, but for Spencer's sake, the Superior Foes.
I gotta go Foes. Yeah,
Foes. Kelly, who do you like of those?
I like them all in different ways, but I'll go with Foes. Because I think that's going to be the most fun team to look at, to play with. I think
a weird crackpot theory that I thought of was that the Superior Foes are a man short because there's only 5 of them. So my theory was that Peter's was gonna use them as make the 6th member to minimize the threat that's left over, deal with everybody else, and then these jokers are all that's left.
Well, see, you say that, but they did say that specifically that is quote unquote the team going for redemption. Like that when Kindred is talking about, it's specifically Overdrive and Boomerang who do seem kind of still on. Boomerang has his doubts about what happened, and then Overdrive seems to be doing good.
Hydra Man and Shocker aren't going for redemption though.
Yeah, maybe not them, but
the people at the spear of the spear of the team.
Overdrive is the one who's quote hiring them. So.
Yeah. Well,
I was about to say Hydro Man being a good guy doesn't sit right and doesn't make much sense.
Well, and it's so funny because believe it or not, I love them all too, but believe it or not, I'm going with the all girls syndicate. Actually, believe it or not,
your favorite.
Yeah, I actually like all members, even the new Trapster. But I actually was excited for that roster too. I've liked all those characters for years, and I really think it's kind of cool because, like they said, they're trying to make a name for themselves. And honestly, you've got groups here that are pretty big. Now, if my brothers were going to throw in, they'd be with George, and they'd be going with the Savage Six. My brothers, Robert and Trevor, would be doing it. They would love the Savage Six.
Javi, who's your pick? Who do you like? I'll get mine.
I'm feeling the wave of nostalgia, so I got to go with the Ditko-esque Sinister Six. Yeah, I mean that was such there's such an integral part to my Spidey childhood with the Return of the Sinister Six that Larson did in Amazing, and then the Revenge of the Sinister Six that brought us like the Cyborg Spider-Man. In the adjectiveless Spider-Man book that I don't know, they're always going to be like my favorite iteration.
I'm going with Javi, but my number 2 is Stegron's team. I love Stegron's team.
The mighty tail will sweep the deck.
No, they're all good teams. They really
I like what Hornacek says.
Really
Electro versus Electro in one of the fights.
That I'm looking
especially because they used to make out.
Actually, Caroline and Otto would be a really cool thing because remember, Caroline was basically obsessed with Otto from day one, even when she was a student of him before he was Dr. Octopus. So in a way, it's like, oh, this is going to be interesting. All of a sudden, they're on the opposite sides.
Thank you, Venkman, for the 6-minute.
6 minutes. Speaking of, all right, let's do final thoughts real quick.
We didn't even do pros and cons.
We didn't do cons. No.
We didn't do cons.
Real quick, cons. Go ahead, Tyler. Sorry.
Well, I really don't have many cons. I mean,
all right, good job, Tyler. No.
I really love the art, and so
I'm glad I'm not alone in the Vicentini defense squad.
Yeah, no, it's a very stylized style, which I know isn't for everyone, but I'm a big fan of it. And so
it's not my favorite, but it's not offensive like some amazing.
I was a bit worried because of ASM 65. There were some pages that looked like incomplete, but I'm glad that he got some time to rest and come back swinging.
Any other cons?
Didn't someone have a con about Carly?
Yeah, that would be me.
Okay.
Because when Mary Jane's going around, all the people saying, well, I don't know where Carly is. Oh, I don't know where either. I don't. Oh, the landlord. I don't know. She has her police captain. Oh, what? Yeah, where's my forensic officer? Oh, well, I need to go get coffee. Thank you. Good night. It was yeah.
Well, I assume that she's been gone for a while, though, so they've kind of just accepted, like, oh, she's AWOL.
Yeah.
But that kind of threw me off in that.
I do have a theory about, like, I wanted to go back to Ryan's point from last issue about the chameleon stuff. I think that, and you know how Kindred came back for more serum. I don't think someone said that like they think he's a chameleon. I think that's wrong. I think that Harry Lyman is the chameleon.
Right. All right, we will be back in 3 minutes.
3 minutes, everybody.
We're gonna be fill up our Mountain Dews.
Are we not doing final thoughts?
Nope, we're out of time.
Oh no!
It was okay. Here's the thought.
It was a good Kelly.
Huh?
Yeah, you can do one real quick if you want.
Oh no! I just didn't know. I was like, wait, what? Okay.
I've got
to pee.
I've got
too.
All right, we have.
That's
we have 3 minutes.
Here's some thoughts. It was a good month with a strong finish.
There we go.
There we go.
That's
See you in
well
2 minutes.
said.
We'll be right back.